Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, man. I'm rocking with y'all, y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're going to be speaking on a DC rapper that served 10 years in prison after he was convicted of killing a woman, and he's just been arrested for the shooting death of a security officer. October 30th, 2021. It was 11:45 when patrol officers were dispatched to Good Luck Road after reports of a shooting. Arriving on scene, they'd find a security officer shot multiple times in the parking lot of a building that frequently hosted music events. Speaking with another security officer, investigators were told there was a dispute between a man and security when the man pulled a weapon and opened fire. That's when the second security officer drew his own weapon, returning fire in an attempt to save his co-worker's life. Paramedics arrived on scene, transporting the 43-year-old victim to the hospital, where he later died. Unknown to the security officer if he'd shot the suspect, investigators would make contact with local emergency rooms in reference to any gunshot victims that night. Come to find out, a 32-year-old man had just been released from care. Hospital records would show 32-year-old Damon Sams was treated for non-life-threatening gunshot wounds shortly after officers were dispatched to the shooting scene. A quick background check would show Damon was well known within the justice system and the streets of DC, where he was more commonly known as the rapper Millie. YouTube videos dating back over 10 years ago would show Millie performing in day-to-day life in the hood. It was in 2010, a then 21-year-old Millie was indicted for second-degree murder. According to court records, Millie left a nightclub with a 21-year-old woman named Ashley McCrae after an argument in which he fired his gun in the air outside of the club. Driving to the Woodland Terrace housing projects, Millie was standing outside the vehicle in the parking lot while Ashley was sitting inside. That's when a .40 caliber bullet was fired into Ashley's forehead. Millie would defend himself in court, saying he was attempting to put the safety on the weapon when he pressed his finger on the trigger to test the tension as to whether or not the safety was on. The light pressure caused the weapon to discharge, and Ashley was immediately shot and killed. The violence didn't stop there. As Ashley's funeral let out and cars began lining up for the procession, gunfire erupted. Two vehicles sped down the street as shots kept firing when one car flipped on its roof, crashing into a truck. A 21-year-old was left dead after the crash, and it wasn't clear if the crash killed him or if he died from the gunfire until an autopsy report determined it was the gunshot wounds that killed him. He was identified as a gang member who'd been attending the funeral when rival gang members saw the opportunity and targeted the funeral let out. While Millie was in no way tied into the funeral shooting, it was him that caused the funeral. Millie would plead guilty a year later to a lesser charge of manslaughter and possession of a firearm during a crime of violence for the shooting death of Ashley, to which he was sentenced to 10 years in the federal prison system. Following his release, he'd be seen in multiple interviews across YouTube, speaking on his time in prison and giving a tour of Lynch Mob, what he claimed was the hottest hood in DC. It was the Woodland Terrace housing projects, the same place he'd accidentally killed Ashley 10 years before. Fast forward to 2021, U.S. Marshals would place Millie under arrest in Washington, D.C., where he'd wait to be transferred to Prince George's County for the murder of the security officer. He's been charged with murder, assault, and multiple weapons charges and faces the possibility of life in prison. At 32 years old, his listed address would only be 4 minutes away from the Lynch Mob projects, and he'd find himself in the same place as he was over a decade ago, in the projects and facing murder. Now I'm going to be honest with you, his story about what took place with Ashley is believable. He fired a gun off at the club, he was angry, he could have been arguing with some people, shoots it off, they get back to the apartments. He takes it out, he's trying to put the safety on, but I don't understand. You could hold a gun down though when you put the safety on. You don't have to hold it up where it's facing someone's forehead. That's kind of strange. At the same time, if it hit her in the forehead, that means she was most likely facing the direction of the gun, so she could see the gun. in which she would be able to move if she sees him playing with it. I don't know, but he says it was an accident. He pled out to a lesser charge of manslaughter. And you can believe it was an accident up until you hear that he went and shot a security officer. And then it's like, well, goddamn, you know what I mean? You just tripped and fell on 2 different fucking shootings. Now it's going to be a little different when he goes back in front of a judge, because the judge is going to be like, you just did 10 years for shooting a girl in the fucking head. I don't know. He got sentenced in 2011, might have got a year of game time. So he really ain't even been out that long. You're already facing another murder charge. Either way it goes, it ain't gonna look too good in court. And that's why it's important when you get out of prison to not go back into the same area and try to live the same lifestyle. You can't pick up off of where you left, because 10 years have gone by. Everyone's progressed in 10 years. If they haven't, why would you want to be around them? And what you're supposed to do in prison is progress in any way that you can. You might not be able to financially progress. You might not be able to have a house and a car when you come home. So you do gotta go back to a rough living environment. But if you're gonna be poor in one area, you can be poor in another, right? If I'm coming out of prison with nothing, I can have nothing anywhere. So you can at least relocate so you're not in that same type of environment around the people that you knew. People that'll make you want to play catch up. Damn, I see him doing good. He's going to look at me like I'm a bum. I got to get my money up. I got to do this. I got to do that. All of these pressures that people can put on themselves when they get out of prison. Now for him, I don't know. I don't know what the story is. It didn't get into the details on the dispute with the security guard, but the fact that he has a security guard as a witness who apparently shot him, went to the hospital, they have the record of that. There's not going to be too much to dispute as far as the shooting goes. It's just a matter of what angle is he going to take it. Is he going to go a defense route? Is he going to say it was an accident? And will that work in federal court for the second time in a row? But let me know what y'all think. Drop a comment in the comment section. It's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all, y'all rocking with me. Till next time.